August 18th, yeah.
Okay.
I sent it to you. See it there?
Yes, I'm here.
You see it? You see it there?
Yes.
Let me make sure that I send it to you again.
Okay.
So that you have it, you know,
Yeah.
on the screen. Yeah, that's the one I want you to. That's the one we need to watch.
Alright. Did you send it?
Yeah, I just sent it to you.
Okay.
Did you send it to yourself? Did you send it to the stream?
No, not yet, there, because it's gonna take me a little bit. Because I don't have a mouse. So it's hard to do it.
Oh yeah.
I'm using the pad off the laptop. It's kind of hard to.
I know those things are terrible.
Yeah, they're right. I mean, they're not like I can play games and stuff on it.
Even I like even when I'm using a laptop, because they used to have laptops over at the computer lab.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And even I would have to use it. Even I sucked at using the trackpad. Because it's like, what if you accidentally hit something, you know, that you're not supposed to hit and give the thing a virus back? You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And my hands don't actually work well when it comes to, you know. Let me know when you. I
was waiting for you. Yeah.
What?
I was waiting for you to get done talking.
Okay. All right. Is it on here? Is it on there?
Yes.
And go ahead and start it.
Okay.
Okay, go down.
Can you see it like that?
Yeah.
Hello and welcome to another Toonami Pre-Flight, where we were talking anthologies today. We're going to look at the Netflix and some of our favorite animated anthologies. I thought I was going to say it, but it wasn't as much of a tongue twister as I thought.
I'm proud of you. Say it 5 times fast.
animated anthologies, animated anthologies, animated anthology. 2.5.
You got 2.5. That's pretty good. Well, last week we talked about an animated anthology too, so we could have just easily done this then, I guess. And we'll be talking about some of these movies on our list later. Yeah.
There's
a lot of animated anthologies. There should be a lot more. There's a decent amount, but I think that they're not common.
Yeah.
What?
There you go. You clicked hide. That's what I needed you to do. Yeah, I can see this fine. We're gonna have to do this anyway because
They changed it or something.
yeah, they changed. Yeah. Fine. I don't mind, you know.
Okay, just asking. Just asking.
Yeah.
Was you
And
watch?
it's easier to see.
What?
What?
What are you
And it's
saying?
easier to see it. It's easier to see it anyway, like
Oh yeah.
fully. Yeah. Anyway, keep going.
All right. Is that all you did? Was watch TV there? Or?
Like there was nothing else to do.
You didn't talk to no one? Or is that?
I talked to some people, but there was like nothing else to do.
Did you talk to Mom?
Mom wasn't even there.
Okay.
You know,
Who was you talking to?
Calvin,
Oh.
Corey's roommate,
Oh.
some other people.
Okay.
Keep going.
You know, anthology films, period, aren't really common. There's really
You really are the one to blame, I guess, if we're gonna really put the blame, because you chose to do heavy metal
Hi, Dad. Also,
last week.
Oh, right.
I also am to blame because I wasn't finished with One Man's Trash yet. So 90-10, your fault. We'll call it.
I blame you more than me.
Okay.
Agree
to disagree.
So we're going to start by talking about probably the best known, after Fantasia anyway, and heavy metal, one of the best known animated anthologies, and that's, of course, The Animatrix, which came out in 2001? 2003. So basically, The Matrix came out in 1999, was a huge hit and a very influential movie. And I guess while developing and shooting the sequels to The Matrix, the Wachowskis also made a video game and they made The Animatrix. And they tried to have all of it somewhat tie together. And as a result, none of it was very good. But
Are you saying something?
I'm just saying, hide those windows.
They won't. They won't.
Okay, keep going.
this is the arguably the best thing that came out of it.
It feels like the longer that they spent in this world, the less effective it became. I feel like it started off strongly with The Matrix, and then with The Matrix Reloaded, then they sort of got it back with the stuff they'd already written that they used for Animatrix, and then
the third movie just shits the bed, and the video game shit the bed. But
ambitious plan.
I think that The Animatrix is a great way to explore the world of The Matrix and sort of widen the scope without having to, continue the storyline. It's just a cool kind of like, here's some other things that might happen in this world, which I think is neat. There's all different kinds of animation, all different kinds of, pretty much the best studios in the world worked on this at the time. And I believe it did receive a limited theatrical release, but it was more just like showcase. It wasn't, it was more of a straight to video thing.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing it in theater. I feel like
it was
not that it wasn't that meant that it wasn't there.
It was well received in general, and I think it's late, after years later, it's now regarded as second only to really The Matrix itself as far as quality when it comes to Matrix stuff. But so it's a decent amount. It's like 7 short films.
9.
So it's unfortunately the way they started, they kind of start with the strongest ones, and it kind of gets weaker as it goes on. It's really weird.
The best two are, I think, the Second Renaissance Parts 1 and 2, because that's like the origin of the whole thing.
That's pretty much everyone's favorite, and I think
so. You get the first 3 are all really good, and if you like this world, you're like, oh, that's cool. And then the next 6 are like little looks at moments.
And some of them have cool things in them, like Second Renaissance Part 1 and 2 is, like you said, the history of the Matrix, basically, like robots, and then how we oppressed the robots. They became their own nation. We tried to destroy their nation, and then in retaliation, they basically destroyed us. And well, we screwed up by finally scorching the sky because most of their power was solar. So they just decided, well, humans are good batteries, so we don't need this guy, and took us over.
It was a good plan. It was just a little short-sighted.
And it references a lot of famous historical photos and moments in provocative ways. And it's really well animated, really well paced, and scored with the same score from the film. So that's probably the best one of the bunch, I agree. And then there's a couple other ones. I mean, there's 6 other ones, and some of them are cool, and some of them are like, eh. I really like the one that's sort of what would a haunted house be in the world of the Matrix? And it would basically be a location that's glitching. So it's basically about this young woman who can't find her cat, and her cat has wandered into this quote-unquote haunted house. But what it really is just a location in the Matrix that's experiencing glitches. And I think it's a cool idea that in the Matrix, a ghost would be, I mean, much like any alternative reality theory, the Matrix idea can fit our reality as much as you want, so you can just keep going down that rabbit hole. It makes room for deja vu, paranormal things, because any of that stuff can be explained as a glitch in the Matrix. So this house is glitching, and these kids are just kind of playing and enjoying the glitch, and the whole time these agents are coming to basically raise it to the ground and fix the glitch. So I thought that one was cool because it was more of a slice of life, like just there's no greater, like she's not about to realize there's a Matrix, like that's like what it's like to just live your everyday life in the Matrix and not really even know you're in the Matrix. Most of the other ones concern people like Neo and Trinity, and that are supposed to be people who are either aware or becoming aware that they're inside the Matrix.
Yeah, so there's the kid who wakes himself up unassisted for the first time,
and he ends up in the movie. That character, because that one directly ties. Happens between the Matrix and the Matrix Reloaded, and that character of the kid ends up in those movies as a very minor background character. And that one was directed by Watanabe of Cowboy Bebop fame, and it looks really cool. It's got a very crazy visual look. And that one's one of the shorter ones. It's like 5 minutes. Yeah, it's not very long at all. Watanabe also directed the one that's a direct prequel to The Matrix, which is this sort of detective story noir of Trinity trying to find this guy that she thinks may be someone she could wake up out of the Matrix, and she fails, basically, and it ends with him getting wasted, mushied, de-rezzed. And those are cool, and those have the voices from the film, that they have the Keanu Reeves and Carrie-Anne Moss's voices, and that's cool. But I was way more into the ones that were just sort of exploring the world. I like there's one about a runner who basically, people that become aware that they're trapped in the Matrix are usually people that have an unusual degree of acuity with just sort of a high level of understanding their surroundings and being self-aware. And so this guy is pushing himself to be the best runner he can, but in pushing himself, he's also pushing the limits of the Matrix's physics. So he's therefore sort of breaking himself out of the Matrix just through sheer effort, which is a cool idea.
Yeah. In his mind story, I guess, he breaks the record and then gets busted for PED use.
Yeah, they think he's doping because how could he have broken the record? But he really broke it because he broke the Matrix's physics.
And then he shatters his legs and runs on the shattered legs.
And he knows, some part of his mind knows that this isn't real. And then there's one that's sort of a training exercise, and that's cool, just a cool action sequence, but it doesn't really mean anything.
Right.
And then there's one that's that was Peter Chung directed from Aeon Flux, and that one's probably my least favorite one. Although it's built around a cool idea, which is it's basically these humans are capturing in the real world are capturing these Matrix robots, and they're trying to reprogram them by putting them into their own Matrix in which they're human. And that's a cool idea, but it's not very well executed, and much like much other Peter Chung stuff, the plot is not really together enough to really have an impact, but the animation's gorgeous. And then the last one is my least favorite, and that is the fully CG one made by the Square team who did Final Fantasy Spirits Within, and directed and written by the Wachowskis and their head of CG. And that one is basically just two sparring partners being sexy, and then they end up finding out that it also serves as sort of a prequel lead up to Matrix Reloaded, because it ends with them discovering that the Matrix knows where the location of Zion is, and that they're starting to dig a hole to get to Zion, which is 4 miles under the earth.
Yeah.
Which is like, how did the humans get there? So it's a really, really good compilation, and I think as a way of exploring, I wish there were more of these. Like, I wish there was a Star Wars Animatrix, and I mean, they've done that somewhat with Batman, and they've done it with Halo, and they've done it with some other properties, but I really wish, I would love to see animated.
Yeah, and I guess the Clone Wars series is kind of
that, yeah.
Or at one point was.
I'd love to see more of that with major stuff like Marvel movies, and like just let people take, Batman is a great example. Just let people take a crack at these famous characters that have come from a different cultural perspective. I just think it's a great way to, or I'd love to see a Gundam one. I mean, it's just a great way to explore the world,
Yeah.
I mean, you could do something like GPX,
Sure.
Down. So on to the next. That leads us to our question of the week. Oh, all right. We just talked and didn't show the trailer. Well, here's the. If you haven't seen the Animatrix, this is a rather long trailer, but it's a cool trailer for the Animatrix. So check it out.
In the beginning, there was man. Then man made the machine in his own likeness. Thus did man become the architect of his own demise.
Coming this June on DVD and video from the creators of the Matrix trilogy. What is the Animatrix?
We know the truth now.
Experience the extraordinary fusion of CG animation and Japanese anime in a groundbreaking collection of 9 animated stories from 7 visionary directors that takes the world of the Matrix to its unimaginable limits. I'm going back to the Matrix, and I want you to come with me.
Second Renaissance. The machines earned no respect from their masters. The machines worked tirelessly to do man's bidding. It was not long before Satan descended to earth.
From your flesh, the new world awaits.
May there be mercy on man and machine for their sins.
What's real doesn't matter.
I won't look away from the truth of kings.
Running away from the change anything!
You betrayed us, didn't you?
It's just a matter of time before Zion is wiped out.
His story.
They're coming for you. Get out. Get out now. This is not real. The real world lies somewhere else.
World record.
Only the most exceptional people become aware of the Matrix.
Take your mark! I have an unstable signal. It's the last chance for me to prove them wrong. He cannot wake up. Do not let him wake up.
Beyond. So, this house is haunted. supposed to go in there?
You don't belong here.
Let go!
You'll be carried off now.
Detective story. I have a job for you. I'm looking for a computer hacker. It is Trinity.
Trinity doesn't exist.
I knew this was some kind of trap. I stepped to the edge of the looking glass.
We won't beat the machines by making them our slaves. Better to let them join us by choice.
That world we show them isn't real.
To an artificial mind, all reality is virtual.
Come on, damn it, help me! Final flight of the Osiris. Send Moth. There's thousands of them.
Directly above us. Zion has to be one. Go.
Go get some.
Fly, baby. Fly.
Hang on!
The Animatrix. A mind-bending excursion into the world of the Matrix. This June, discover how deep the rabbit hole really goes.
It's a cool trailer. It's actually a fan-made trailer. The real trailer is pretty lame, and it's only like a minute long.
Yeah, in looking at the trailers that I pulled for my favorite anthology trailers, they're all almost exactly the same trailer. It's like number of things, director, amazing, shot, end page.
Yeah, I mean, there's only so many ways you can do it, but it's still cool. So first up, for my favorite animated anthology.
Hey, Jason, what's your favorite animated anthology?
I'm going to start with something called Neo Tokyo, which is a OVA that came out in 1987, and or is it Neo Tokyo is a film that came out in 1987. It's 3 parts, and they're all based on one particular manga artist's science fiction stories, and I really like all of them. I've talked before about this one here, which is called Death Race, basically. But they're all science fiction. People keep opening the fucking doors in this room. What the fuck is going on? All right.
Turns out we don't know.
Turns out Adult Swim's not very professional.
It's true. That's why we're not working.
But yeah, it's 3-part science fiction, 3 science fiction stories. They're each about 30 minutes long, so it's a more of a robust. It's not like 9 little ones. It's more 3 pretty long short films. But they're all great, and they're all film level animation. It came out at the same time as Robot Carnival, and sort of that was the initial sort of burst of short film anime. It would become like a regular thing, but I would say the anime as an industry, anime industry as a whole does it more than pretty much any other industry, but they still don't do it enough for my taste. I'm sure there's not a lot of call for it though. But so, it's 3 different studio. This was developed by Madhouse, 3 different directors. And it's funny that all the ones I'm going to talk about, Katsuhiro Otomo, who created Akira, is involved in some way as a producer, or they're based on his stories, or he directed one of them. So like this just sort of helps you understand how much huge influence he was on the entire anime industry during this period of time. This is right around when Akira, came out as a film. So let's check out. This is I think a Japanese trailer, but it gives you an idea of the different types of animation that are in this.
ただいまの発言はこの工事への妨害行為と判断いたします。
So basically, three different directors. Rintaro directed the first segment, which is basically a journey inside a little girl's mind. And Rintaro is the co-creator of Madhouse Studio and also directed Metropolis. He's pretty legendary. Running Man, the second part, was directed by Yoshiaki Kawajiri. And then the third one was directed by Otomo, Construction Cancellation Order. And that's basically, these robots are building building this huge, like, I don't even know what it's going to end up being, but they're building, there's a massive build site that they're working on. This sort of salaryman has been sent to shut it down, but one of the robots has become sentient and is programmed to defend itself against anything trying to stop the construction. So he's battling it, and then it ends with the government deciding, now we're going to let him go on and build it anyway. So it's sort of a Kafka-esque thing. So that's Neo Tokyo, which is hard to get. You can get it on DVD for not cheap, and I'm hoping it gets a Blu-ray release soon from someone like Discotek or Sentai or somebody, because I'd really love to see it in a higher quality. Next up for me is an OVA from 1987, and this is called Robot Carnival. This is also, I believe, 9 shorts. And this one is actually being re-released by Discotek on Blu-ray in about a month, I believe. I might be wrong, might be sooner than that.
Should turn out nicely.
But so Robot Carnival basically is all adapted from, it's another science fiction anthology, all adapted from one particular author. There's a wraparound story that involves the actual Robot Carnival, and the idea is there's this weird automated carnival that just travels around the world telling stories and spinning tales, and that these are some of the tales in it. Otomo produced this, and again, the animation quality is not quite as high as Neo Tokyo, because this was an OVA, not a full-length feature, but it's still pretty great, and I'm excited that Discotek is re-releasing it. So let's check out the I believe I have a trailer for this. Yeah, let's check out the trailer.
9 animators, 1 vision. Directors combine their unique talents to create one spectacular animation event. the animation event of the year.
So Robot Carnival was actually released in the U.S. by Streamline Pictures, which is why you see that logo. They're not around anymore. They did a dub, and it was available for years on DVD. Has never been out on Blu-ray, and I haven't seen it. I've seen it in Japanese actually, but I saw like a Japanese VHS that had no translation because I was just watching it for the animation back in the early 90s. But it's pretty great. The first and last wraparound stories were directed by Otomo. The rest are like a whole bunch of who's who directors of that time. A lot of people that have worked on Ghibli films, a lot of people that have worked on other shorts. But it's worth checking out if you have the scratch for the DVD. And then finally, I have another feature film anthology I want to talk about, and that is 1995's Memories, which is also very hard to find. All these damn 90s things are hard to find. But I'm confident this one will get a re-release eventually just because Otomo is involved with it, and it was so well reviewed at the time. This was a theatrical release. This is 3 short films again. These are all based on Otomo's stories, and he was an executive producer. So this is like a hard sci-fi collection. But the stories are, I mean, Otomo's great, so if you like him, the stories are awesome. The first one, and the one that most people identify this movie with, is Magnetic Rose, which is the story of a rogue AI that's sort of haunting this space station and these 3 astronauts that are there to try to figure out what's wrong. And she kind of, the AI kind of thinks that she's a real person, and she's sort of a ghost of a deceased opera singer, and she basically mentally traps these astronauts and tries to convince them that they are her long-lost lover, but she ends up killing them. And then my favorite is the second one. It's called Stink Bomb, and that's about a researcher who has the flu, and he thinks he's taking a flu pill, but he accidentally swallows an experimental pill, which then turns him into a walking stink bomb. So he has incredibly bad BO, and if anyone smells him, they die immediately. Anything that isn't a plant that smells him dies, and it gets worse and worse as it goes on. The government wants him to come to headquarters, basically. But they don't realize he's getting worse, so he's killing hundreds of thousands of people. So it's like a total black comedy, but I really like it. And then there's one called Cannon Fodder, which is about a city that all they do is fire cannons at this other city that they can't see, and they're just being told, oh yeah, you did a great job, but no one really knows if this other city exists. They've been doing this for so long. Their whole culture is based around keeping these cannons operated and firing them. Another very Otomo idea. So let's check out the trailer for Memories.
恐ろしく古い衛星だ。あいつ、衛星の状態はめぼしいもんはレコーダーぐらいかな。了解。ご苦労。あいつ。じゃあ帰り道に気をつけてくれ。ランデブーポイントを追って知らせる。仕事ばっかり回しやがって。いやつへの仕事じゃ無理もないっすよ。あいつ。お前さんとこの私の娘だ。パパ大好き。ずっと家にいてほしいわよね。懐かしい。セシル。緊急しろ。進路変更だ。ボス、時期が上がってきました。
どこにもある。なぜじゃ。
いや、そう完全に消えたか。なぜ知れない現実を。 じゃない。
So that was a fan-made trailer for just basically the first short, Magnetic Rose, but the whole anthology is great. But as you can see just from that footage, it looks gorgeous. So those are three of my favorite animated anthologies.
Cool. Up first for me is 2007 Genius Party from Studio 4C. There was a sequel, I think it was the next year, that was Genius Party Beyond.
Yeah.
Where they basically just more Genius Party.
Electric Boogaloo.
There's 7 movies in this anthology. They're all pretty good. Some of them are just totally batshit crazy, but they're still awesome. And then some are a little bit more storytelling. Watanabe did one that's called Baby Blue that looks amazing and is really fun. But my favorite in this is Shanghai Dragon, which is Shoji Kawamori. This is probably better than Genius Party Beyond, which is why I made it on the list. But in my mind, it's hard. I can never remember which one's in which anthology.
What?
Hey Siri, I wasn't speaking to you.
I don't know what you mean by I wasn't speaking to me. How about a web search for it?
Speaking to you.
I don't get it, but I could. I will, if you like.
Hey Siri, good night.
It's 5:57 p.m.
I just wanted her to shut up.
Good night.
No, because
Oh.
he said something and it kicked on. Like, he said something and it must have sounded like, "Hey Siri." You know, it must have. Hey Siri, weather for tonight.
The forecast is calling for mostly cloudy skies tonight in Allen Park. Temperatures will range from a high of 64 at 7 p.m. to a low of 59 around 10 p.m.
Sorry, I was just checking the weather because I need to, see how cold it's gonna be and stuff. But like, no, he said something, and this thing kicked on. Like, I just don't want to. I just don't want to copyright from like Apple. You are, virtual assistant during your stream. It wasn't my fault. The thing kicked on.
Then you ain't gonna get in trouble for that. You own that.
Well,
That's your thing.
Right.
You own. You can't say that because that's like they're saying, "Oh, you can't use Apple computer for this, or you can't use that." No, you can't do that. Sorry, they can't do that because you bought that. You got that.
Keep going.
I have own the tablet, the iPad.
Because I watched them sort of back to back when they first came out. But this is the trailer that is very formulaic in telling you how many animators and directors there are for the anthology. So let's check it out.
Hide it again.
ここに7人のクリエイターが集結した。全世界が注目するオリジナルアニメーション。彼らに与えられた制約はゼロ。無限大の映像世界をあなたは想像できるか。ジーニアスパーティー。
なんかすっごいスピードね。こんな風に話すの。
I think if you speak Japanese that makes it a little more impactful at the end.
7/7, 2007. I like they went with the lucky
Yeah.
sevens.
Numerical.
Yeah.
You can get this. It's just on DVD. I don't think it's ever been remastered. You can buy. I got it off Amazon just from a third-party seller, so you have to pay a little bit more for it. But you're not stealing it, so that's a plus. Next for me is also from 2007, a great year for animated anthologies, as it turns out. And that is the French black and white horror anthology, Fear, Parenthetical of the Dark. And this really makes... I saw these before I played the games, but it's still, rewatching them, it really reminds me of the Limbo and Inside games. Obviously more so Limbo because it's all black and white, but it's that same sort of just spooky, creepy, starting you off in a normal reality and then just sort of making it crazy. And this is 5 stories, and they all sort of focus on a different type of fear. One's about bugs, and it starts off as like a guy and a girl going on a date, and then it devolves into insects killing them all. One is a big beast that's terrorizing the countryside in a French town. There's like an Asian spirit ghost in one that's really cool. But the one that I think is the coolest is from Richard Maguire, and it's basically a music video with geometric shapes, and they build people and then they start moving around, and so it's just a really creepy telling about a haunted house. And this is I think this is also in French, not also, but not in English also. So let's check out the French trailer.
When you are afraid, it is difficult to breathe. It is difficult to move. It is difficult to speak. But it is easy to panic. From 6 of the leading graphic artists of our time comes a film that reinvents the meaning of terror.
Oh my God.
Fears of the dark. Prepare for a journey into the unknown.
So I was wrong. I found the English one, or my Babelfish is working correctly.
Yeah.
The weird thing with this movie is when you watch it and it's subtitled, they chose to do the subtitles as white.
Oh,
Text.
so it's like you can't even read it.
So half the time you can't tell what the hell's going on. You're like, what the fuck?
Good job,
Yeah.
Frenchies.
I mean, I guess it kind of, I don't know what the better solution would be. Maybe a
Yellow.
drop shadow or
Maybe.
something. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen many
I mean, I guess they didn't want to make it be.
black and white movies usually do like
Yeah.
yellow, where they do a drop shadow. Good job.
There's a French narration that sort of ties them together, each of the movies, but it's really cool. And then last for me is what Jason was referring to earlier, and that is the Batman Gotham Knight anthology from, I decided to go a little bit newer this time. This was 2008 instead of 2007. And this is, if you haven't seen this and you like anime and you like Batman, you should just stop watching this and broadcast and start watching this anthology. There are 6 shorts, and it's Studio 4C, Production IG, B Train, and Madhouse. And they're all, they kind of tie together. There's sort of like, as it progresses, usually there's one little plot point that continues through, but they're all pretty much standalone stories that you could see really anytime. I think this is a trailer. Let's check out the trailer and then we can talk about my favorite one.
I'm willing to put my life on the line to do what I have to. But it has to be mine, no one else's.
What the hell happened there? That was weird at the end there.
Yeah,
it was like the graphic was going to reveal itself, and then it was like, nope.
It was like they shipped the pre-art box version. The graphics in that trailer are terrible, and the script isn't much better, but the pieces themselves are great. The first one is probably my favorite, and it's called Have I Got a Story for You, and it's told in reverse order, and it's 3 kids who are seeing Batman throughout the day, and so each time a different kid is telling the story, you see him through that kid's eyes, and he looks different every time. I just think it's a cool idea. And those are some of our favorite animated anthologies, that most of which we will talk again about later down the line. Let's check out Adult Swim Facebook's picks.
We got the
Animatrix.
Animatrix, the number 1.
Clearly, if we weren't already talking about Animatrix, would be on the list.
Heavy Metal, of course, which I just talked about last week. Memories, Neo Tokyo, and then Halo Legends, which is a really good anthology. I'm not super into the Halo universe, but it's a well-made anthology and a cool idea.
I think probably my least favorite thing about Halo is the story. So I don't really want to hear.
Oh my God, you're making so many people cry right now.
I mean, doesn't mean it's not good. It's just my least favorite of the things.
Let's check out the Toonami Facebooks. So first up, Toonami, of course, Animatrix, Memories, Robot Carnival. Finally, someone says Fantasia, which I really thought would be everyone's first. I mean, that's like the best known.
That was kind
animated
of
anthology. You know,
didn't do it, but I guess
we should have done it. We should have done it, yeah, because it's kind of the reason these anthologies exist. And then Halo Legends again. So good choices all around. Thank you guys for letting us know what you think. I'm surprised. We should talk about Fantasia at some point, I guess.
That's I guess once we run out of this list.
Well, that's once we're working for Disney.
Yeah.
So let's talk about what we have coming up before we're working for Disney. We got a few sneak peeks for you. So coming this Saturday at 11 p.m. ET, we have another episode of Dragon Ball Super. We're up to episode 30 now, finally out of the movie storylines and into the real first true TV storyline. So let's see a promo for that episode.
On the next all-new episode of Dragon Ball Super.
Goku's enthusiasm never would have swayed you in the past. It makes me wonder, when you had that premonition, did you see more of this coming than I gave you credit for?
If you want to talk motives and foresight, what were you really thinking when you decided to bring those Saiyans here and train them? You're not building them up to have them fight me, are you?
No, my lord.
Dragon Ball Super, Saturday at 11. Only Toonami on Adult Swim.
Plans within plans.
Indeed.
And then next up, we have a game review from Dennis Maloney, our coworker,
resident game reviewer.
He does a lot of game reviews for us, and he did a PlayStation. I don't know if it's available on Xbox, but it's a little indie game.
I think it's a Steam game. I thought it was a Steam game too, so I'm thinking
probably
it is Xbox.
It's called Flame in the Flood. It's a pretty interesting sort of pseudo post-apocalyptic game. So let's check that out.
Summer's here, and the doldrums of gaming have arrived. Luckily, I found this cool survival game called The Flame in the Flood. A strange radio signal beckons you to leave your small island and shove off towards uncertainty. Piloting the waters of the flood is a wild, dangerous ride. Survival depends on keeping your raft in one piece, gathering supplies, and crafting life-saving items. Each decision can mean life or death, and I've died some pretty horrific deaths braving Old Man River. Starvation, drowning, wolf attack, hypothermia, the list goes on and on. But at least there's some handy checkpoints along the way to help keep the story afloat. On the downside, the menu and item juggling are a constant and annoying pain. But each trek downstream is a new adventure, and it's fun seeing how far you can go before your flame winks out. We give The Flame in the Flood a 7.5 out of 10. Rolling on the river.
Nikki, I gotta go.
Oh, you gotta go?
Nice one, Tom.
You want me to get off the stream and stuff?
Hold on. Yeah, we'll just complete the last part.
Okay.
Okay, so get off the stream.